All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 16th live show of the year. I'm Cooper Stevens, and I'm here with CJ Gray today. We are going to be making some picks today. This is a big predictions show. Um, Obviously, just a couple hours away from the first playoff game tonight, Alabama and Oklahoma, and then tomorrow, a bunch of playoff games coming our way. So that'll be a good thing to watch on Saturday. But we've got our college football playoff predictions today. We've got bowl game predictions. We're going to talk about some transfers today. So a little lighter show today, but should be fun to do our full bracket, make our full picks, and then talk about some bowl games and really get into that. So before we get into all that, though, CJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing great as always. You talk about some football.
Oh yeah,
And
oh yeah.
we're going with Trent to watch Oklahoma, Alabama shortly after this. So fun night ahead. Yeah.
Fun night ahead. We'll see, but right now we're going to be talking about the college football playoff. As you know, here's the bracket in its glory. Couple group of five games people don't like, but who cares about that? It's football. I'm gonna watch it. They can't. They're if they don't want to watch it, they can. They can just
To
skip it.
see how good of fans are, we are football fans. We watched the Xbox Bowl yesterday. Like that's how locked
Xbox
in we
Bowl.
are with.
I watched the
Yeah.
Xbox Bowl on my Xbox actually,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like Inception there.
Yeah. We
But
were really supporting Microsoft yesterday.
yes, but couple group of five games that people don't like. If they don't want to watch it, they just don't like football. But
Yeah.
it's a playoff game. Anyway, this is the bracket, and we're going to be making our picks, and this is going to be attributed to our record, the picks that we have been doing all season. We've accumulated over, I believe, 200 games so far. Just a reminder, if you didn't watch last episode, our final regular season pick stats, Trent was in the lead by just about 1%, but we're all pretty much jumbled up together. So this is a pretty much the last couple picks we're going to make for the season. We're also going to make our bowl picks, me and CJ. But these are pretty much, this is what's going to win the picks for this year. And whoever wins or whoever has the highest percentage will be the first ever college football corner picks champion. So pretty big deal. A lot of bragging rights to be had, but here's our point system for our playoff predictions today that we're going to be doing. If you pick a first round game, correct. So one of the first four games this weekend, you will have just one win added to your record. These are our records, just to clarify what we're talking about. But you will get one win added. If you pick a quarterfinal game, correct. If you get the winner for that game correct, so one of the Orange Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, one of those games, you will get two wins added to your record. The losses will stay the same. So if you pick incorrectly, you'll just have a loss put there. 3 wins and 5 wins for the semifinals and the national championship winner picks. So pretty big stakes here. So if you have an accurate bracket, you have a really good chance of winning the college football corner picks.
You freaking do.
Championship. So these are pretty important picks here. Trent's not able to be with us today, but he did send in his picks last night.
Flaked yet again.
He flaked. Trent's a little flaker. Call him Frosted
He's always
Flakes.
flaking on us, and you know what? Most of the time I'm here, but Cooper always gets it done. We always try to get it done. Shout out to Cooper. I'm here. I'm here most of the time when I can get here. I ain't passing it up for no BS. I'll say that. Trent might be passing up for some BS.
He's probably at Outback Steakhouse again.
He probably is.
But with all of that being clarified, we are going to go to the picks now on the spreadsheet that we've been doing it on all year. Give it up for the spreadsheet, everybody. Boom. There's the spreadsheet. Trent's already got his picks locked in there. We will go over them as we go over the games. But the first game we're going to be going over in detail, Bama versus OU, the first game on the schedule. So I will ask you, CJ, what are you thinking about this game? What's your pick here?
I think it's hard to beat a team twice. I really do in SEC football. It's hard enough in college football. It's hard enough when it's the best conference in college football. But with that being said, I'm going to take Oklahoma. I think John Mateer is going to use this rest time he's had. I think he's John Mateer again. I think the surgery, it was a while ago now. Ample rest time. Still might not be 100%, but the John Mateer we saw weeks, especially 1 through 4, that was a special player, and he was probably number 1 Heisman candidate on a lot of people's list back then. So I think we're going to see that John Mateer and that Oklahoma explosive offense. I think it's just going to be a situation where Alabama just can't outscore Oklahoma.
Yeah. Thinking about this game, I think there's a key couple aspects to this game. I think the turnover battle is a big part of this game. If you look back to the last game that they played, Oklahoma won the turnover battle in a really unique way. They were outgained by, I believe, 200 yards, and they still won the turnover battle, and they won the game because of it. And that was really the key part of the game, and a couple other mistakes like missed field goals really added up to Alabama losing that game. And since then, they've only gotten, I feel like, worse as the season's gone on. So a lot of factors there that kind of led to Alabama, maybe you could say, losing the game and not Oklahoma winning it. But still, I think that's going to have to happen again for Oklahoma to win. I think a couple added factors lead me maybe to an Oklahoma win, kind of with Oklahoma having an extra bye week. Oklahoma hasn't had to play since November, and Alabama had to play in the SEC championship and got dog walked. I think that's an added factor. The home atmosphere is going to be a factor in this game. At the end of the day, I'm thinking it's really going to come down to, can Alabama run the ball? And I'm not sure. I think, though, looking at it, I think Alabama is more likely to win this game than Oklahoma is, just because if the game goes clean and the turnovers if there are no turnovers or there's one turnover on each side, I think Alabama would have an easier path to win this game. And I think it's a safer bet to go with Alabama, just because I think they have the better defense. And I think if the turnover battle goes their way, they win this game. And I do like Ty Simpson a lot more than John Mateer. So I'm going to go Alabama in this one, but I could see this one going either way. It's going to be a really good game tonight.
I honestly think you went there because I picked Oklahoma. I feel like that's the sole reason. I think you did back it up with some pretty good ball knowledge, though. Even though I feel Ty Simpson has been lacking in these past couple of weeks. And I feel like the Alabama offense is pretty stagnant, is what we've seen.
Well, if you've watched Alabama the last couple of weeks, their offense is really boom or bust. They either go on these 3-and-out drives that really just kill their momentum, or they go on these 7 to 8 minute drives.
They really like bang on these explosive plays. I feel like if they don't have an explosive play in the first 4 downs of their of that series, I feel like they're probably not going to score.
Yeah. I think it's all dependent on Ty Simpson. I think it's dependent on how he plays, how many interceptions he throws. I think he's going to have a good game. I think this Alabama team's kind of thinking about it. They've played before Oklahoma has. They've had another rep.
This game will be if Alabama can just outscore Oklahoma, because Oklahoma's going to get theirs. There's no question that Oklahoma will score enough points, knock on wood, that they were going to score enough points to win this game tonight. I feel like it's just going to be solely on if the Alabama offense can just keep up with Oklahoma. Like you said, if Ty Simpson takes care of the football and just puts it into the hands of his playmakers, then I feel like Alabama has a chance to win.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a really good game to watch tonight. It's going to be very interesting. Trent went with me on this one. He went Alabama. Probably because he's SEC biased or whatever. I don't know, but we won't ever get his reason on it. I don't know. Who knows?
I am against Alabama being in, but the committee got it right by their criteria. Alabama being in. They got it right. Me personally, I'm an Alabama disliker.
Wow.
But I'm an SEC lover. So, yeah.
And I try to even it out with me being an ACC lover, so it's okay. Don't click off because you think it's SEC biased. This shows nothing biased
No.
towards anybody.
We're nothing biased, but we do have our own opinions, but we keep it very here for our college football viewers.
Anyway, now we move on to arguably, possibly the most interesting matchup of the first round: Texas A&M playing Miami. It's at Kyle Field. CJ, give me your thoughts on this game and who you think is going to be able to win this.
I think what we all have in the back of our mind here is Texas A&M playing South Carolina just a few weeks ago. And I think we probably think the same situation about this game, but hold your horses to everybody who thinks that way. South Carolina plays those games yearly. Sometimes multiple times a year, as we've seen this year with Alabama. But as I digress, I think Texas A&M has this game in the palm of their hands. I think the Miami defense just really can't compete with how explosive the Texas A&M offense is. I personally think this is probably but performance-wise, I think this is the best offense in the country. And have they played like it in the past couple of weeks? No, but I feel like it's time to turn it on for the playoff. And they have the potential to. I think they could make a deep run in this playoff. So I'm gonna go Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. And Carson Beck, not really consistent versus talented teams. So it's a big what if for Miami. We haven't seen them play in a couple weeks either.
Yeah. I think when you look at this game, I think a couple things come to mind. I think all the controversy that came with Miami coming into this game comes to mind. I think you got to think, is there some pressure that Miami's facing on do they have to prove that they have belonged here? If I was the coach, I'd say no. I mean, I think they belong there. But I also think when you're thinking about this game, kind of like what you mentioned, but even to a more further effect with the Texas game, I think these last two games have been really terrible for Texas A&M. I think you look at how Marcel Reed's played, how he's turned the ball over, how he's been lackluster throwing the football, and the way that the defense has kind of played. I think this is really going to be a boom or bust here from Texas A&M, and I could either see them, really just coming out on firing on all cylinders, kind of playing how they played the first couple 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the season, or they just keep playing the way they've played the last 2 weeks. Which granted, that's been 3 weeks ago now, but still, it's just going to be very interesting to see what Mike Elko's done with the squad. And I think at home, I think if it was at night, it'd be a little bit more, lively. But I think looking at this game, I think it's a safer bet to go with Miami. I like how they've played the last couple weeks of the season. I think Carson Beck, as the season's gone on, he's gotten better. I think he had a plateau. He rose, he fell, and now he's starting to climb back up. If you watched his last couple games, and I really do like this Miami defense as well. I think these are I think Miami and Texas A&M are two very equal teams. I think this is the most equal matchup that we're going to get this weekend. And I think really looking at it, I think it's a coin flip really. And I think I just like the way Miami's been playing. And I don't like the way Texas A&M's been playing because I think
that coin flip for me flips on Texas A&M's side because it's at Kyle Field. That place will be rocking their first home playoff game in God, like how long? Ever?
It's their first playoff game ever.
Yeah. I was right, ever. And that place will be going nuts. I think Marcel will rise to the occasion here. They just have so many playmakers on the outside as well. Like I said, I think it's the best offense in the country, and it's just time for them to play like it. So,
I am going to go Miami here just because I've liked how they've played the last couple of weeks compared to Texas A&M. But I wouldn't be surprised if Texas A&M won. I think this is going to be a very good game as well. But also, here's the thing: whoever wins has to play Ohio State. So,
I think in my bracket I had them losing to Ohio State, which is Ohio State to Ohio State. That's the best
They don't
all-around roster ever.
Don't spoil your picks now, bud. Don't spoil your picks.
Yeah.
We still got to go a long ways here, but that game's gonna be really fun. That's a tough pick. I could flip flop there, but I think Miami it makes more sense with the results that I've seen on the field right now, and I know Kyle Fields gonna be rocking, but I don't think it's impossible to win there, and I think the way that Miami's been playing, I think justifies what my pick is there. But anyway, now on to our last two games for the first round. The first one at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, Tulane at Ole Miss, 3:30 on TNT, I believe. CJ, what is your pick here?
I'm just thinking like at tomorrow because we're all going to be watching these, me, Trent, and Cooper. I don't know where we're going yet. It's up to us, but I just feel like, we know the obvious pick here. Again, as I say that, it is also really hard to beat a team twice. Do I think Tulane's going to win? No, probably not. But I think this will be a very decent game. It won't be a eyesore. I'd say I'd still take Ole Miss by 2-3 scores though. So, Trinidad's playing its balls off lately. I see just no way Tulane can win. As we know, I'm not really fond of them even being in the playoff, but I think this could be a good game. It's hard to beat a team by a great margin twice.
And just to bring up from the last one, Texas A&M was Trent's pick as well. Sorry, Trent, but that was his last pick.
Oh yeah, that's just Cooper's ACC bias right there, picking Miami. I forgot about that.
Whatever.
That's the only reason.
That's not the only reason. Were you listening to me? Anyway,
the two Tennessee fans picked Texas A&M.
Ole Miss, Tulane.
Wait, are you wearing the Tennessee bucket hat?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I just gotta. You gotta put drip on.
When we were in Knoxville, Cooper went around the Vol shop asking people if that was his look, and some people said yeah, some people said no. So
I think everybody said no, but that's okay.
Everybody might have said no. I said it was great because it was Tennessee. So
that's okay. I like it though. Anyway, Tulane, Ole Miss. I think obviously I'm gonna go Ole Miss here, but just want to give you some reasons on why Tulane could win this. I think Jake Retzlaff is a great quarterback. Comes from BYU. Throughout the season, he's played great. I think they're going to have to limit the explosive plays. They're one of the worst defenses in the country when it comes to explosive plays. And the first time that they played, they didn't do that great. They're going to have to have some explosive plays on offense themselves, which is going to be tough. I think they're going to have to open up the run game and really control the time of possession, which that'll be tough. And also, they're terrible on the road. Their two losses have come on the road. Their worst loss to UTSA was on the road. It's not a favorable matchup. Some people say this is the most likely upset to happen. I don't see it that way. I think this one's going to be kind of more lopsided than the other one, just because of the way these two teams match up with explosive plays on Ole Miss's side of the ball. And they still do have their offensive coordinator. I don't know if anybody knows.
And football aside, Ole Miss has something to prove with Lane Kiffin leaving, not even finishing out the season, which Lane Kiffin did want to finish out the season. No blame to Lane Kiffin, but this team has something to prove. And I think first playoff game in Ole Miss history at Ole Miss, they have so much to prove. And I feel like they're just stacking on against
I think
a pretty okay Tulane team.
And I think the narrative where Lane Kiffin's leaving, I think Lane Kiffin did have obviously a huge impact on that program, but I think that the coordinator staying for the playoffs is really important. Obviously with Pete Golding, now being the head coach and Charlie Weiss staying for the playoffs, I think it's just really important because you still have your play caller, you still have your defense, and I think all these guys are kind of bought in right now. I think they're all bought into the Golding era for the most part. I think this is still a really solid group. And I really don't see the upset here. I see actually the upset happening more in the next game. Not that I'm going to pick them, but I just think that it's kind of stupid that people are saying kind of using the Lane Kiffin thing as a way of. I think it's kind of cheap, and I think frankly
head coaches
it's
really
lazy.
don't matter that much as far as like
I think they do. I think they do, but in this one
yeah,
game particular, I
yeah,
don't think so.
in this one game, say like even the rest of the season, I feel like a head coach, for those of you that like have seen a staff, like how it works, like they're not making all the decisions. Like Lane Kiffin is an offensive minded head coach, but most of what they're hiring their OCs and DCs for, if they're whatever like side of the ball they like respectively choose, they're not making all the decisions for like all 160 plays of the game. It's mostly on the coordinators. And I don't think he would have hired his coordinator if he didn't feel like he could call a game by himself and Lane Kiffin could just go and coach whatever he saw on the field. So I feel like they're not in a bad spot. I feel like it does take away from like, I guess, the confidence of their team not having your head coach, but I feel like Ole Miss is just fine without him for this season.
Yeah. So just like CJ, I'm going to pick Ole Miss here, and Trent did also pick Ole Miss as well. As we will now move on to the last first round game, that being James Madison at Oregon. Trent did pick Oregon here. CJ, who do you got, James Madison or Oregon?
I don't think there's much to talk about here. Just give me Oregon. Again, hopefully next year we see us digress from the free spots for the G5.
I think, kind of like what I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, I think this is the more likely upset here, actually. I think Autzen Stadium is really a tough environment to play in for any team, especially a Sun Belt. But I think other than that, I think they have a good chance of not winning, but controlling and keeping it closer. I think you look at what James Madison has on offense, I think their O-line is going to be a big question. I think you look at it and that's obviously going to be a big thing of contention. But you look at their specialists, their wide receiver group's solid. Alonzo Barnett, he can run and throw. I think that's really going to be important because I think if you have a more of a pocket passer, I think you're just going to get eaten alive. I think Alonzo Barnett's scrambling ability is going to be huge in this game. I think Wayne Knight's running ability is going to be huge in this game. And how he's able to control that. I think, again, time of possession is going to be big. They're going to need a couple turnovers. But what's going to lead me to Oregon here is just that the defense is going to be really, really, really solid, and that offense is really going to be – it's a really kind of mixed style that I like. Dante Moore is going to be really solid. And I think the defense just can't hold up for James Madison. And I think – if you make one mistake for James Madison, and I think if you play like you can't make a mistake, I think it just makes it harder on yourself. And so I think if I'm Bob Chesney, I'm saying to my guys, just play this like a regular game. You don't need to play tight, and I think they're going to come out tight, and I think they're going to lose this game. So I think Oregon's going to win this. It might be a little bit closer.
That's just like the problem you have with putting the G5 in. I feel like you're never going to get their best brand of football because they feel like, oh yeah, we're gonna go out here. We're not gonna make a mistake. They don't go into like playing other games that way. Like North Texas didn't go and pass for 700 yards, thinking like, okay, we're not gonna go out here and make a mistake at all. They just went and played free, played their brand of football, having confidence they were gonna beat the other team. But I just feel like you don't really have that when you have this G5 like gift of a game going to Oregon. It's cross country trip. It just sucks for the G5 teams, and I'm just not an advocate for them. But
just one final comment before we move on to the quarterfinals. All these media heads talking about how it's a different sport, and these teams shouldn't even have a shot, and they should have their own national championship. The reason that they're doing that is not because they think that; it's because they think that they're gonna have less TV ratings this weekend because of these two teams being in. That's the reason. Simply, they have not watched a game of these two teams. I've watched more G5 football than these guys that you see on TV. Paul Feinbaum, Kirk Herbstreit,
I guarantee
Davis.
We have watched more football this year than Paul Finebaum has, especially in the G5.
Yeah. And it's just like it's kind of just frustrating because at the end of the day, you look at all these teams that we just covered in the first round. For a majority of them, they're not going to make a national championship run. They have the ability to win one game, maybe two. And that's the same sentiment for the group of five. James Madison or Tulane has the ability, like I just laid out, to maybe win one game in this playoff. They can't make a run. But that's the same thing for these other teams. The group of five won a conference. Both of these two teams won a conference championship. I think in this playoff format, they deserve the right to go out here and compete and play football and see who's going to come out on top. And I think that it's a shame that these media heads say that, they don't even want to see this football being played by the group of five. I think it's ridiculous, and I think, frankly, they're doing it just because they want to see more money poured into the sport. Because I guarantee you, if Notre Dame played Oregon or if BYU played Ole Miss, I think that would maybe be more of a highly rated TV slot than JMU and Oregon and Tulane and Ole Miss. But I think for football fans, this is good, and I don't think it's bad. And I don't think we need to get rid of it just because the TV ratings aren't going to be there. So just a little reminder as we head into the quarterfinals. Anyway, now on to the Orange Bowl. That would be whoever the winner of JMU and Oregon playing Texas Tech. We all picked Oregon, so it's going to be Oregon versus Texas Tech. So, CJ, who do you got, Oregon or Texas Tech in the Orange
I had
Bowl?
Oregon.
Okay.
Give me Oregon because Texas Tech's offense stagnant. I mean, I know we use that word a lot, but a lot of people fall into the same category of not being able to move the football without explosive plays. If you look at any analytical data, like any next gen stats, a lot of these teams without explosive plays can't move the football. And I feel like for that reason, and Oregon's not one of the teams that fall into those categories. Oregon can move the football and they can win this football game, shootout style, old-fashioned football game. It doesn't matter. And I feel like they have the potential to win this game. It's probably 60-40 if I did in my head right now.
I think Texas Tech has a really good defense. I think
they have a great defense.
Overall, I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. Actually, I think Oregon's not going to. I think Oregon's not going to be able to score that well on this Texas Tech defense. And this game is dependent on what Texas Tech does through the air and on the ground. I think they have a really underrated ground game with Cameron Dickey and the other, and I believe Jacoby Williams.
Don't give us a score prediction right now. I'll give mine.
Don't quote me. I think it's going to be 24-17. I'm going to go Texas Tech. I like Baron Morton. I like this. I like the way they played against BYU and just dog walked them both times. And I think as the season's gone on, they've looked better. And I think it's going to be a tough trip for Oregon. I think it's going to be in Miami. I think I like Texas Tech if it's a low scoring game.
I had a similar to you, but I like this low scoring game, but I have Oregon. Give me 17-14 Oregon.
Okay. All right. Well, Trent actually agreed with me. He picked Texas Tech. So there you go. That's Trent's pick as we move on to the Rose Bowl. So just for context, this is the Alabama and Oklahoma versus Indiana in the Rose Bowl. CJ picked Oklahoma, so I'm going to ask him, Oklahoma versus Indiana in the Rose Bowl. Who do you got, CJ?
I had Indiana, and of course, they're just the number one team in the country, undefeated. Their defense is so good. And I feel like that's probably the end of John Mateer's road. I think this is a good game though. I think it's a low scoring game. But Indiana just kind of runs through rosters.
Yeah.
So
what's going to be interesting what I didn't mention is I want to see how these teams react to having that extra bye week. I think because you look,
I think so too. Because I feel like they haven't had something like that yet, and I mean,
you look.
Oklahoma. I feel like if Oklahoma plays their fast brand of football, I feel like them holding the ball does them no like glory in the situation because that's Indiana's brand of football. I feel like Oklahoma's offense staying explosive and just putting points on the board as fast as they can is their secret to winning.
I think you look at it, and I think it's just going to be interesting because last year, obviously, all 4 teams out of bye lost. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't think that's going to be the case necessarily because Boise State and Arizona State were 2 of the teams who had to bye, but also I think teams are going to be more prepared for it. I think Indiana's going to dog walk Alabama. It's Indiana versus Alabama for me. I think they're going to dog walk them. I think they have a better offense. I think their defense is also really, really good. I think this is just an impossible matchup for Alabama. But I wouldn't be surprised again if Alabama wins this just simply because of the bye week aspect of this. So I'm going to go Indiana. Trent went Indiana. So that's an Indiana sweep there as we head to the Sugar Bowl. That would be Georgia versus the winner of Tulane and Ole Miss. We all picked Ole Miss, so it'd be Georgia versus Ole Miss. Who you got, CJ?
Better game than we think. Give me Georgia. Gunnar Stockton has been so elite. For those of you who don't know, he was in the Heisman race for a while. Yeah, I feel like Georgia just hits on all cylinders. Their run game fits her really well. In the front 7 on both sides of the ball, they're just so elite. I feel like it's just really their game to lose. And I feel like they're just superior on both sides of the ball.
I think if you look at this game, I think this is where the bye week kind of comes into effect. I think you look at it, and Ole Miss has a really explosive offense, and I think you could get out to a point where you see maybe a 21-zip start because Gunnar.
You think if they jump out early, they get this game?
I think they jump out early, and I think they get this game. I think that's how this game is going to go.
If they get up 21 points and they like itch away at some field goals throughout the game, Georgia playing catch up. I mean, they've done it in the past, but it's just you don't want to do that off of your bye week first game. You had a bye. It's a really
tough matchup. I think with the way that Georgia plays offense, I think it's more slow. It's more and so I think
drive the field.
It's drive, and so I think it's gonna get a little bit more getting used to. I think and also Ole Miss is gonna have a whole week of game and a whole other week of practice because I just think that Ole Miss is just gonna get ahead early, and they're going to keep that lead. And I think if you looked at the last time that these 2 teams played, I think it was a shootout, and Ole Miss got up ahead early in that one too. I think this time they're going to learn from their mistakes, and I think again it's tough to beat a team twice. And
that's why I say it's tough to play great against a team twice as well. Like it goes both ways, and I feel like Georgia coming from that bye week, they know Ole Miss is going to try to jump out early, take shots early. Go explosive runs, outside zones, a lot of those. And it's just like I feel like we just don't see that this game. I don't know if we're gonna get a shootout like last game. It's just hard to tell because we have some of these same matchups, which I'm not really fond of, like we saw throughout the season.
I'm gonna go Ole Miss here, and that's okay. That's okay.
That is okay.
Trent went Georgia for that game. Now moving on to the Cotton Bowl. That's Ohio State versus the winner of Texas A&M and Miami. For you, CJ, it's going to be Texas A&M versus Ohio State. Who do you got in that one?
Ohio State, best roster in the country. But bye week, and they lost their last game against the best team in the country, Indiana. So I feel like it could go either way. It just really depends on how we see Texas A&M play in Kyle Field, and then can we translate that to go? I don't know. It's going to be really tough to see. I feel like this is Ohio State's game, but if Texas A&M plays like Texas A&M can, then we could have a great game on our hands. But can Ohio State last in a shootout against a good defense, like we saw in the Indiana game?
I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Ohio State offense reacts after them getting shut down. But I do think that
I just feel like, do we see them become explosive again?
I do think though that they are going to improve after the last game. I think Julian Sand's going to respond well, and I think they're going to use Jeremiah Smith to his full effect. And I do like their run game too with Bo Jackson. So I'm going to go Ohio State. I think their defense is just as maybe even better than Texas A&M's. I just think this is an unfavorable matchup for Texas A or for Miami actually, because I picked Miami. I'm going to go Ohio State for the same reasons. I mean, Miami, I think, is more of a pro-style offense. I think it's going to have to be a low-scoring game for them to win, and I don't know if their defense can hold Ohio State to that level of points. We'll see, but I think Ohio State's going to win against Miami. As we have now finished, as Trent also picked Ohio State, but we have finished now the quarterfinals, and we are on to the semifinals. For Trent, he picked Indiana in this one to go to the national championship against Texas Tech. That's the same matchup for me, but for you, CJ, it's a rematch of the game earlier this year at Autzen Stadium that Indiana won. So who do you got in that one, Oregon versus Indiana in the Peach Bowl?
I had Indiana, and I feel like that one really won't be close, but we've seen these games throughout the year, and it's just like we're going to see so many games, and it's going to be the same narrative. It's just hard to beat a team twice, and I feel like it's just going to flip both ways, back and forth. Still give me Indiana regardless.
I think Indiana's going to win this one. I think it's going to be because of the defense. I think Oregon doesn't have as good of a defense as Indiana. I think when you look at it, it's going to be a tough matchup between these two offenses, but I think that Fernando Mendoza is going to shine. I think it's going to be a slower start, kind of like the last game, and then I think really Indiana kills you with their ground game. I think there's a lot of talk about Fernando Mendoza, but they really do kill you with the ground game. And that's how they really – I mean, you look at his pass attempts, he's throwing for 20 passes a game. That's another thing with the yards.
Oh, yeah, people want to talk about his Heisman numbers, which I agree. This is a very bland Heisman race. But as we don't really have these aired out offenses as we see in this Heisman race, like Diego Pavia. The offenses ran through him at Vanderbilt, but he also had probably 15 to 20 rushes almost a game, and he still put up great stats. And then Fernando Mendoza, I think he only passed the ball he's from 18 to 25 times a game. They're not airing it out. This isn't 2019 Joe Burrow. They're not passing the ball 50 times a game. And I feel like people get that confused with the numbers we're seeing.
I mean, pretty much Indiana's running it more than they throw it. I mean, if you watch
the games, a lot of teams do, but in different fashion than they're doing.
I mean, Roman Hemby's a really good running back, and I think he's going to be a key part to Indiana's success. But I think really it's going to come to – I mean, it's going to come down to what can Fernando Mendoza do in the 20 to 25 pass attempts. And that's why he won the Heisman, is because he's been able to be efficient. He's been able to hit those downfield shots and get those explosive plays for Indiana. It's just going to be really interesting to see how the run game is affected in this playoffs when they're playing more high-level teams. But I got Indiana as well. And now we will move on to the Fiesta Bowl. Georgia versus Ohio State. That's everybody's pick except for me. I picked Ole Miss. But for Trent, he picked Georgia to go to the national championship to play Indiana. Ohio State versus Georgia. Who do you got, CJ?
Georgia. Give me Georgia.
Or Georgia versus Ohio State? You're going Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like this is where we see them take a leap back to greatness. I feel like Ohio State, as we've just seen them against top teams, they can't score the football. And their run game is nowhere near as what it is when they play against, say, another Big Ten conference game. We just don't really see that. So for that reason, give me Georgia.
Okay.
And slow-paced football is Georgia's bread and butter. So it just all aligns.
For me in this game, I'm going to go Ohio State. I think Ohio State's going to have the better defense in this one, and I think they're going to be able to limit the explosive plays more. And I think that Trinidad Chambliss is going to have a tough time against the defense. And I think it's going to set up for a really interesting national championship, Indiana versus Ohio State. So that'll be interesting to watch. So as we now move on to the national championship, for Trent, it was Georgia and Indiana, and he picked Georgia to win the national championship. So Trent's picks end up with a Georgia national championship. You have the same matchup in your national championship, CJ. Who do you got? Indiana, Georgia in your title game.
I think Georgia goes the mile here.
Wow. Okay.
I feel like this is only where we really see them as like an underdog, of not being in the conference. I mean, in the national championship.
I think for me, looking at this rematch, Indiana and Ohio State, I think I'm going to go Ohio State here. I think I like Ohio State in the rematch. And I think if you watch the first game, Ohio State really couldn't capitalize off of some missed opportunities, and I think they're going to do that in this game. I think Ohio State's just really going to not play as conservative as they did against Indiana the first time, and I have Ohio State winning the national championship for the second straight year in a row. So those are our picks. We have a point system for it and everything. But that was fun doing that. And we'll check back after the national championship, which I believe is like a month from now. But we'll check back in on our picks in our national championship recap show, and we'll crown our champion. So anyway, now we will move on to our transfer talk for this year. In December, there were a lot of transfers, and just this week, as the transfer portal has not even opened up yet, but some big transfers so far. I'll read off some of the big names here. Sam Levitt from Arizona State, DJ Lagway from Florida, Nick Marsh, wide receiver from Michigan State, Hollywood Smothers, running back from NC State, Bo Perubala, Missouri quarterback.
Hollywood Smothers, he's from around here. He transferred, I think, from my dad was telling me about this earlier. He transferred from Vance, and I forgot where he wanted to go, but it was illegal. Vance had told the school board of wherever he was going to go. So he didn't get to play his senior year of high school football.
Wow.
And this is his third time now transferring, and I feel like, does that equivalate to this situation? Because he's been pretty underwhelming.
He played pretty good though this year.
I mean, yeah,
pretty good this year.
He was at Oklahoma, then he went to NC State. Now he's out again. So who takes a chance on him?
We'll see. Jay Crawford, quarterback from Auburn. Chaz Coleman, the number one transfer prospect on 3 right now. Defensive back from Penn State. Drew Mestmaker, quarterback from North Texas. We kind of expected that one. Brendan Sorsby, quarterback from Cincinnati. Dylan Raiola, quarterback from the Kansas City Chiefs or the Nebraska Cornhuskers. CJ Baxter, running back from Texas. Boo Carter, Tennessee. That one was just a fun one to throw in there. And then Kenny Minchie, quarterback from Notre Dame. So those are some big notable names. This Boo Carter
one has been a thing for weeks, dude. I don't even know why you had to put that one in there.
So
he weeks ago.
What I want to ask you, CJ, who is the transfer that you're looking at on this list as the possibly who could be the best transfer out of the class of 2025 or 2026 or whatever? And then who are you looking at are some names that aren't really that notable?
As I look through this, I think none of these are really shockers, except for, the Boo Carter one going into this year. Of course, that was shocking, but after all that's happened, it's not. But the only one I see as shocking is really the Dylan Raiola one, just because he has family ties at Nebraska. I just didn't think he would leave, but after the talent they surrounded him with, I get it. I honestly think, not to be so quarterback heavy, but I think the best will be between Sam Levitt and DJ Lagway. I mean, DJ Lagway definitely has more potential to be a better prospect than Sam Levitt, but Sam Levitt has proven that in that Arizona State offense, with not much surrounding him, by the way, I think he has been more than serviceable. He's been their saving grace throughout the year. I feel like if he gets around any good, decent receiving core with the ability to run the ball in his offense, he can be pretty dang good. And if DJ Lagway, of course, figures it out, then who knows? But if he does end up on the flip side of good, then he will probably be the best on this list.
Yes. I think for me, I think when I'm looking at the most notable or who I think is going to thrive, I think Drew Mestemaker is obviously one that I'm looking at. I think I've talked about him on this before in my rankings and talking about him, how he's been very good for North Texas. I think the prediction right now is for Oklahoma State, where his coach Eric Morris went for before the season even ended. He went to Oklahoma State. It's expected that's where he's supposed to go, but he could also go somewhere else. I think wherever he goes, he's going to shine in the Power Four. And also, what's interesting is if his running back Jordan Hawkins goes with him too, because Jordan Hawkins was a really good running back as well. So I think that's really going to be important to watch. I think Chaz Coleman's going to be a really good player, probably at Virginia Tech. And then just looking at anybody else, I mean, I think Nick Marsh as well is going to be really a really good impact wherever he goes. A really solid wide receiver prospect. I think looking at players who I'm not really going to be impressed by and who I don't think is going to make their mark next year, I think Bo Perubala is up there. I think he was kind of not that notable at Missouri, and I think him leaving after this year kind of tells you a lot about him. And then also, I believe Sam Levitt's going to be the same way, where I don't think he had a really good year this year, and I think he had enough talent surrounded around him where, uh, you know, I just didn't make sense why he didn't perform as good this year. So I think Sam Levitt's going to be kind of a bust next year. I think that's my hot take. But and then Dylan Raiola too. I don't think he's going to be
Sam Levitt a bust next year.
That's my take, and you can quote me on that when he wins the Heisman next year. But
I just don't see him being just because he is very fundamentally sound. I'll say as a quarterback, he's pretty traditional. Shout out to his dad though for defending him in those Instagram comments.
Shout out. Well,
it's a good father.
Just a little transfer talk. We'll be sure to update you more on all this once it gets a little bit clearer, and we'll talk about where they land. But just interesting to see how it's already starting to form a little bit. And also make sure if you're watching right now to leave a comment on your opinion on all this stuff. We want to hear from you, and we'll talk with you. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on all this as we keep going. And support us however you can, and check out our other videos. But we will now go to our last section of the hour, you could say, and that's Bowl Mania. As bowls are important. I watch them. I like them, and they are important. And if you don't watch them, then they're just going to go away. So just a reminder, because I hear all these people, oh, bowl season doesn't matter.
That's true. People tune into
all
these guys.
The only reason they exist is so that you can watch them.
Tune in, guys. Tune in.
Just watch them. So anyway, bowl season is upon us. We've got 12 games to pick from to end off the program today. So we've got 12 of them. Like I said, I'm going to go through them with you. And I'm going to ask you, CJ, the Boca Raton Bowl, the Bush's Baked Beans, Boca Raton Bowl, Toledo versus Louisville. Who do you got, CJ?
Toledo, Louisville.
Who do you got?
I said Louisville. Yeah, just give me Louisville.
You got Louisville. Okay.
Yeah.
Louisville, I agree. I think Louisville.
That made me chuckle. I mean, some of these bowl games, I mean, like, I think sometimes we just have to be realistic, guys. I mean, honestly, one that shocked me today, Memphis and NC State. That was, I think NC State jumped out 21.
Right now.
Yeah, I know. 21. They jumped out 21-0 in the first when I got home. So that was a shocker.
Next up, I picked Louisville as well. Next up, a Christmas Eve classic, the Hawaii Bowl. It's California at Hawaii, playing Hawaii. Who do you got here, CJ?
Is that quarterback from Cal playing in this game?
Yep.
He hasn't opted. Okay, then yeah, give me Cal. That guy's a dog.
Jaron Kia Sagapolita, I believe is his name. And I think he's going to ball out this game and win this one.
I didn't even try to pronounce his name because I know I was going to get
it wrong. For the Cal Golden Bears. But just a little something to watch on Christmas Eve. Not going to lie, I'm going to be watching A Christmas Story, but, whatever floats your boat, it's on Christmas Eve. Whatever tradition.
Over some football? No, I'd probably watch A Christmas Story too. Honestly, during the Xbox Bowl yesterday, I definitely was thinking about turning on Landman. It was a bore. It was a bore.
I like the Xbox Bowl. I like that. I think
it was some bad football. I won't lie.
Next up, a really impressive bowl game name, the game above the Sports Bowl between Central Michigan and Northwestern. Who do you got here, CJ?
Give me Central Michigan.
Whoa!
Drop the nuts. Give me Central Michigan.
I'm going Northwestern. Preston Stone.
I'll pay for that
Northwestern team. Central Michigan. But who knows? It could be a game that's really. I'm not gonna lie. I don't have a lot of data on these first three games, but I do have a lot of data on Louisville and Cal, but not a lot on Northwestern or Central Michigan. But that's okay. That's okay. Next up, we've got the Pinstripe Bowl. Got a little bit of data on this game. It's Penn State versus Clemson. CJ, who do you got here?
Oh yeah, you definitely have some data on this game. Give me Penn State. Actually, wait. Yeah, give me Penn State. Did Cade Klubnik opt out yet?
Or is he no, he is not opted out.
He is not opted out. I mean, I don't know why he would, but I just feel like both these teams underwhelming this year. Both were, I think, top 10 teams going into the year. Both have fallen off the face of the earth. Both offenses aren't very good, but I think Clemson definitely wins the battle on the defensive side in the front seven. And I feel like for that reason, this will be a tough game for Penn State. But I'm going to take Penn State only because every time I picked for Clemson to win, it was a nightmare. So
I can't go against my dogs, but I do think they're going to win this game. I think, when you look at it, I think they're going to be more physical than Penn State, and I think that we've been playing better as the season's gone on, and I think that Cade Klubnik is going to ball out in this final game. Hopefully. You never know.
You can only hope for that, but I feel like, again, no bias or hate against the ACC, but like who have they really been playing against and balling out against? And I feel like Penn State, at least competing with very high-class teams, shows that they have the ceiling to win this game.
Who knows? The Pop-Tart Bowl. Big game here. It is Georgia Tech versus BYU. Who do you got here, CJ?
This is an elite game. I didn't even think about this. Jeez. Give me Haynes King and wait. Haynes King is still in, right?
I believe he is, yes.
If Haynes King stays in, which is Georgia Tech's saving grace, then I will pick Georgia Tech all day long. Honestly, I would have loved to see Haynes King get a Heisman nomination to go to New York. Because if there's one person in the whole country that deserves it, it is Haynes King.
Give me BYU in this one. I think that BYU's got a really good defense, and I think that their run attack is going to just run over this Georgia Tech on defense. Georgia Tech does not have a good defense.
I feel like BYU's defense would game plan around just one person, but when that one person's the quarterback, it makes it so hard. So I feel like it could go either way.
Yeah. Next game up is the Gator Bowl. It's Virginia versus Missouri. Bo Perugla out of this game. Who do you got here, CJ?
Bo Perugla's gone, and he's just. I feel like for that reason, Virginia's gonna win this game, but Virginia always tries to find a way to lose. I don't know if that's gonna change in this bowl game.
I think it's gonna be a good game, but it just depends on how the defense looks for Virginia. But I don't think this Missouri offense is going to produce that many points. And so I'm going to have to go Virginia here just because I like them a little bit more just because I think they're a little bit more stable offensively. No. Now moving on to the Music City Bowl, Tennessee versus Illinois. Who do you got here, CJ?
Give me my boys. Give me the freaking Volunteers.
Okay. It would really be a shame if I – hold on.
It would be a shame if that bucket hat on and not pick Tennessee. But Illinois doesn't have the defense to compete with our offense. So Chris Brazzell, I don't know if he opted out yet, but he's going to the draft, so he's probably gone for this game. But our offensive attack is too high-powered to be stopped by Illinois.
I'm going to go Tennessee here, but I'm very apprehensive because of their defense. But we'll see. We'll see. It'll be a fun game. Alamo Bowl, USC versus TCU. Josh Hoover not playing in this one. He is transferring. So, CJ, who do you got here?
TCU.
You got TCU even without Josh Hoover. Okay. I'm going to go USC here. I think I like Jordan Mailata and this defense for USC.
Wait, that was so stupid. I don't even know why I tried to sound like that was like a good choice. Like I was fighting.
It's binding. Both of our picks are in there. You can't change it.
I was trying to fight back a smile while doing it, but I was like, dude, I knew I was going to regret that and instantly.
Stupid. USC, I think, is going to prevail in this one. Next up, we've got the ReliaQuest Bowl, formerly the Outback Bowl. It's Iowa versus Vanderbilt. Diego Pavia's last game as a Vanderbilt Commodore. Who do you got here, CJ?
Give me Vanderbilt.
Okay.
Diego's last game. As much as you want to hate Diego media-wise, he is a great football player. Runner-up to the Heisman. Honestly deserved the Heisman, if I'm being honest. If he would have won the Heisman, I wouldn't have been mad. So
I think looking at it, I think it's gonna be really tough for this Vanderbilt team because I think Iowa's defense is gonna be really impressive. I think it's gonna be a lower scoring game. And I think Iowa's gonna prevail here. I think Iowa's going to win against Vanderbilt here, and I'm going to pick the upset. Next up,
I think that was probably a tough decision right there.
I don't know. I think maybe the steam's out of Vanderbilt now that Diego Pavia lost the Heisman.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that the grid wasn't on. Sorry.
Dude, yeah, I just figured that out, unfortunately.
Sorry to the viewers.
It's okay. Okay, I know, it's fine. But anyway, Sun Bowl, Arizona State, Duke, the ACC champions. Who do you got here, CJ?
Sam Levitt's in the portal, so would it be crazy to pick Arizona State here? I don't think it is. But I also think Duke has a heck of an offense in the passing game. Their run game's kind of dog, if I do say so myself. Give me Duke. Give me Duke.
Okay. I think it's all going to be dependent on how the offenses run. I think Arizona State's definitely more of a run-based offense as well as Duke. So I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Time possession is going to be critical. Turnovers are going to be critical. I'm going to go Duke because I'm an ACC shill. Citrus Bowl. We have Michigan versus Texas. Who do you got here, CJ?
Michigan versus. Remember in college football, like the first one that dropped last year, they were trying to make these two the cover teams. What happened to Michigan and Texas?
I don't know. It was I think it was Donovan Edwards and Quinn Ewers on the cover.
Yeah, Donovan Edwards and Quinn Ewers, Clash of Titans there.
Yeah.
Give me Texas.
Okay.
Michigan just in the air attack, isn't it? It just doesn't feel advanced whenever they're like passing against a good team. We know the flaws of Arch Manning as well, though, so hopefully he just plays a good game.
I think a lot of transfers from Texas, but a lot of extracurriculars from Michigan. I think Texas is going to pop out and win this one. Holiday Bowl, Arizona versus SMU. Who do you got here, CJ?
Arizona versus SMU. Give me Kevin Jennings.
Ooh, okay. I've got Arizona here. I've liked what they've done the last couple of weeks of the season to get up to the 17th ranking. Give me Arizona here. Finally, the final bowl game of the season, the Mayo Bowl. Wake Forest versus Mississippi State. Who do you got here, CJ?
Crazy thing is, we could go to that if we wanted to.
We could.
Tickets are probably like dirt cheap too. But I don't know if we want to go to another game at Bank of America Stadium. So
I think we're Bank of America'd out.
Yeah, I think that's probably off the list, especially since it's Wake Forest and Mississippi State playing. So as long as I think Wake Forest wins this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think Wake Forest is going to win this one. I think it's just going to be dependent on how Robbie Ashford plays. But I like Wake Forest.
Robbie Ashford's great.
He is.
If he plays a good game, I think they got it.
Anyway, that'll do it for the bowl picks, and that'll do it for our show today. Thank you for watching the predictions show. We're very interesting game tonight and the next day on Saturday. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to watch our other videos. We've got some compilation videos out. We're going to try to do some more before the end of the year and in the new year. And make sure to comment what else you want to see from us. CJ, any final thoughts?
Thanks to all the viewers. Love all y'all, and be back next week.
Yeah, we will be. We will be back next week to react to all the first round games and preview the next games ahead. So thank you for that. Make sure to go follow our TikTok, Instagram to stay tuned for what we've got coming up on the live shows. And we will see you guys next time.